Ever wonder what happens when demons dare to ask for forgiveness? Damaged and expelled, these fallen beings defied the divine plan with hopeless petitions. But God's response was no act of mercy. It was a decree that sealed their fate forever. In this video, we reveal the shocking cosmic verdict that rocked the universe to its foundations. A desperate plea for mercy. Before heaven could settle its own affairs, an unexpected twist emerged that threatened to flip the entire cosmic order. What exactly is the price tag on divine compassion? Picture a dim sanctuary where fading light mingles with thick shadows and the air clings with a stale heaviness. Within these worn walls, chipped out of what was once celestial grandeur, a ragged band of demons assembled, ancient forces of the void, now reduced to trembling shapes. They were here for one last improbable shot at redemption. Their eyes, once blazing with rebellion, now glowed with a faint spark of hope, weighed down by centuries of regret. These beings, whose names were listed among the worst offenders of sacred law, had long since accepted they were doomed. Yet in that dark chamber, you could hear the hushed rhythm of their unity, a low communal chant begging for a compassion they were pretty sure they'd never get. Suddenly, a flash of starlight cut through the murk like a bright surprise cameo in a student play, a pattern break so jarring it felt like a cosmic glitch. In that single brilliant second, the line between sin and salvation wavered, showing off hints of a reality where even epic wrongdoing could get a second look. Pale beams danced on ancient stone, revealing carvings that whispered of a time when heavenly grace and the damned teetered side by side on the brink of redemption. In these tense moments, the demons thought back to holy decrees and legendary scrolls, the kind that had formed the bedrock of heavenly justice since forever. They remembered the teachings that spelled out how divine punishment was absolute, not some flexible arrangement. Each act of sacrilege, each rebellious step, left a stain no apology could fully erase. But maybe in their pitiful condition, they figured the Almighty might still pity their misery. Their voices trembled, each syllable loaded with a mix of awe and desperation. Echoing off the crumbling walls, the prayers resonated like one final epic shot at closing the gap between them and the highest throne. Outside, a distant rumble almost sounded like the universe clearing its throat, as if deciding how to answer their frantic calls. Yet the cosmic verdict, etched in the timeless records of creation, held firm, immune to pleas and tears alike. In that white-hot moment of tension, the demons felt torn between two absolute truths: the devastating weight of their sins and the ironclad power of divine judgment. The conflict thundered inside them like a swirl of emotions and doubts. With every pulse of their tattered hearts, a single question loomed larger. Could a collective cry for mercy really undo a fate everyone said was already sealed? Then the last glimmer of starlight ebbed away, leaving the place darker and heavier than before. A collective hush set in, thick with anticipation. As they turned their tear-filled eyes toward the ancient inscriptions carved into the stone, a silent witness to laws that go back further than time, they found the same unyielding warning: messing with divine order has consequences beyond mortal comprehension. Still, despite the crushing hopelessness, a defiant spark flickered among them. Maybe it was arrogant to assume that such mercy was possible, or maybe it was one last spark of faith, daring them to hope for a miracle from the very heavens that had cast them out. When the space finally fell silent, it felt like even the air was bracing for heaven's response. All anyone could do was wait, suspended in that agonizing moment, to see whether the ultimate decree would confirm their worst fears or just maybe offer an impossible pardon. A decree carved in eternity. And now, As if all the universe breathed its very breath, God the Omnipotent prepared to take a decision that would echo down eternities. As the scriptures warn, "For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men," Romans 1:18. And on that moment of supreme importance descended a solemn quietness upon the cosmic court of justice. The demons, those who understood desperate hope, hanging suspended in the air, their cries suspended like a heartbeat in the great stillness of heaven. But instead of gentle solace, they were met by a crashing declaration as stern as the words,
"You shall not pass beyond this point."
Words repeated in Exodus 14:15, where salvation only comes at the will of God. An old voice, older than stars, boomed through the stillness.
"You have shattered the highest order."
Every syllable cut through the darkness like a two-edged sword, as if to inform them that compassion also must give way to justice, as stated in Isaiah 59 verse 2.
"But your iniquities have separated you from your God."
The instant the voice was uttered, great tongues of divine fire flashed down through ancient walls, shooting wild shadows in every direction. In one blinding flash, a beam of pure light parted the darkness, like the piercing light of Revelation 1:16, when the eyes of Christ were like a flame of fire, halting despair for one brief heartbeat. It was a moment which dramatized an eternity. Certain rules, the psalmist reminds us in Psalm 119 verse 89, "Your word, O Lord, is eternal. It stands firm in the heavens, simply cannot be violated." Ancient foresight in texts that encompassed the sacred text of the Book of Enoch had years ago foreseen this hour when even mighty heaven-dwellers might fall through pride. And thus, with the ring of the Lord's judgment, the demons had to confront their predestined fall. Their once rebellious pride was exchanged for trembling acceptance, a living testament to the words of Hebrews 10:30. "For we know him who said, 'It is mine to avenge, I will repay,' and again, 'The Lord will judge his people.'" Continuing with an unremitting authority, the voice of God declared,
"Your rebellion seals your doom. Justice has counterbalanced your faults, and no pleading can counterbalance them to your advantage."
Each syllable was charged with perpetual jurisprudence, a hint that because Proverbs 16:4 states, "The Lord has made everything for its purpose, even the wicked for the day of trouble," nobody, much less major ones, could hope for mercy after having strayed so far from their designated end. In that moment, in the midst of cross of light and shadow, the demons saw glimmering across their last hope the immeasurable chasm widening between the crushing reality of God's judgment. Suspended in that moment, they sensed the mighty compound of awe and fear, a feeling indicative of the severity of Revelation 20:12, where everything was measured and weighed. It was penalty, but it was more. It was irreversible disconnection from the grace which once surrounded them. Thus, with the will of the Almighty declared, the destiny of the fallen was forever inscribed into the scheme of things. The final judgment resonated through the centuries, a reminder that to defy the Creator is to pay a price too great to pay, a principle as firm as Psalm 19 verse 7, "The law of the Lord is perfect, reviving the soul." The lost kingdom was irreparably altered, and that unyielding verdict was a testament to the sovereign justice of the One on the throne. Cosmic bonds of eternal retribution. But when these celestial chains first materialized, a bigger question arose. Could there be a secret force within these unbreakable bonds that might even outshine divine judgment itself? Once the Almighty's decree thundered through the cosmic halls, the heavens wasted no time unleashing their fierce payback. Suddenly, sparkling chains, physical symbols of divine wrath and the eternal balance of justice, took form out of the universe's very essence. Each link was both a cautionary sign and a permanent record of disobedience. As Dr. Michael Turner writes in Chains of Divine Retribution, a study of celestial justice, they represent a cosmic law that refuses to tolerate any breach. Bathed in an unearthly glow, the chains seem to carry the lingering echoes of pride, betrayal, and an irreversible collapse. Every link was loaded with a different sin story, capturing the screams of fallen greatness, a theme Professor Elena Maris tackles vividly in her book, The Celestial Verdict, Angels, Sins, and Eternal Punishment. There she points out that these chains do more than simply lock up wrongdoers. They also double as a sort of timeline marking each offense, illustrating exactly how wide the gap has grown between the divine plan and blatant defiance. Then, in a flash that broke the pattern of chaos, the very foundations of heaven rumbled under a mighty crack of thunder. Light and darkness spun together like a whirlpool in the sky, momentarily quieting all the desperate pleas of those doomed souls below. The whole display felt like the Almighty's personal signature on the verdict, what Dr. Turner calls a public demonstration of the unyielding nature of divine law. For those caught in these chains, the grim finality hit like a lead weight. Gone were the days of dazzling rebellious ambition. Those brazen sparks of pride were now smothered under the crushing reality of celestial justice. Professor Maris sums it up best. Every link is a mini history lesson in arrogance, a record of defiance that permanently warped the universe's balance. Here, the agony of the chained recalled classic myths like Prometheus and Sisyphus, whose eternal suffering mirrored the futility of challenging higher powers. Within this unsettling scene, the damned writhed in silent torment, their screams blending into the heavy sadness of lost divine status. The chains themselves became more than just tools for punishment. They were a stark reminder that divine law, in all of its immovable authority, makes zero compromises when it comes to ranking and order. Yet even in the midst of this unbreakable doom, rumors sparked among the darkest corners. Could there be some hidden trick, an ancient cheat code buried in cosmic law that might someday override this brutal sentence? Both Maris and Turner hint at a future chapter in the supernatural saga of judgment. A chance, however slim, that the mightiest restraints might hold some kernel of unanticipated possibility. Unveiling the hidden path of redemption. But even in total despair, there seemed to be a hidden crack in the cosmic order, a secret passage hinted at in ancient manuscripts. Could this concealed doorway inside the void really change the destiny of the fallen? Deep within the endless expanse, where reality itself appeared to stretch thin, there was a narrow, almost invisible opening. Legends whispered that behind the cosmic penalties and the chains that bound the rebels, one might find a mysterious corridor, a passage of grace hidden in darkness. Some ancient scrolls, long buried by time or guarded by secluded scholars, described this secret as a final shot at redemption, evidence that even the most ironclad judgments might hold the faintest glimmer of hope. In the darkest corner, where silence felt as heavy as the spectral chains, a faint light began to flicker. It was as if the chasm itself gave a gentle sigh, an echo of the fact that divine law, though unyielding, wasn't entirely revealed to just anyone. This wavering glow, the residue of creation's first spark, cast dancing shadows against coarse prison walls marked by cryptic symbols from ages past. These glyphs hinted at cosmic harmony, ancient covenants made before the fall, and a promise that, despite heaven's righteous fury, a small measure of mercy might still remain. Scholars and mystics have clashed for centuries over the meaning of these glowing signs. Some compare them to the splitting of the Red Sea, a miraculous doorway glimpsed in the midst of total ruin. Others liken them to the healing waters of the Jordan, symbolizing a chance for renewal, no matter how bleak the betrayal. In modern theology, the possibility of such a loophole sparks heated arguments. Could there really be even the slimmest chance for the fallen to reclaim part of their former glory? Then, as if on cue, a sudden burst of raw energy tore through the opening, bathing the void in a momentary display of swirling, ethereal light. Like a celestial performance piece, this spectacle momentarily replaced the crushing sense of eternal punishment with something almost triumphant. The vivid glow made the wall etchings flare with brilliance, reminding onlookers of ancient pledges and perhaps overlooked mercy. That surge of light seemed to carry echoes of a time when angels freely roamed among the stars, when divine grace flowed like Eden's rivers. It was a gentle yet powerful nudge that, while the gates of hell seemed sealed, there might still be a path to redemption, however remote. Even under the weight of unquestionable judgment, the possibility of transformation lingered, like a fading but not yet gone star. But once the light withdrew and darkness claimed its quiet throne again, a single overwhelming question remained. Could the damned ever step through this phantom passage and regain at least a shred of grace? Or had divine law truly slammed the door forever? The answer lay hidden in the far corners of creation, another revelation waiting to unfold in the ongoing cosmic story. A delicate choice between destruction and redemption. But even as that mysterious passage beckoned them forward, an even more astounding question arose. Could these fallen beings truly grasp the concept of redemption, or had their rebellion already sealed their fate for eternity? As Romans 3:23 reminds us, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God." Yet here they stood, in a shadowy corridor where even a whisper of forbidden grace was palpable. Within these dim walls, murmuring secrets of a mercy that once might have been, the fallen demons braced themselves for a verdict beyond mortal comprehension. Their chains, forged by divine wrath, seemed to echo the truth of Romans 6:23, "For the wages of sin is death." Caught in that liminal space between condemnation and a fragile hope, the immutable laws of fate were about to render a judgment that no earthly ledger could contain. Throughout the vast sacred hall, faint echoes of ancient prophecies floated like a timeless chorus. As Psalm 33 verse 5 declares, "The Lord loves righteousness and justice. The earth is full of the steadfast love of the Lord." Yet mystics and scholars had long believed that even the darkest souls might catch one fleeting glimpse of forgiveness if the cost were not too high. Every misdeed was recorded in the eternal book, as Revelation 20 verse 12 shows, and the dead were judged by what they had done. Mercy and retribution stood in eternal opposition, each exacting a toll beyond human measure. Then, with a force that recalled the pillar of fire which led the Israelites, Exodus 13:21, a burst of radiant energy tore through the gloom, a flash of divine light that paused the universe for a heartbeat. "Your word is a lamp for my feet, a light on my path." Psalm 119:105 seemed to resound in that instant, offering these outcasts a final, almost imperceptible chance to alter their destiny. Yet this luminous display came with a stark reminder: the cosmic ledger is unyielding. As Luke 8:17 proclaims, "For nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest, nor is anything secret that will not be known and come to light." Every act of defiance, every step away from the divine order, was meticulously recorded. The prophets warned that failure in this ultimate test would mean eternal exile, a fate echoed in Hebrews 10:26, where deliberate sin after knowing the truth brings unending judgment. More than a simple choice, this was a call to dismantle the pride of ages past and embrace a rebirth so profound that it might erase all memory of rebellion. In that strange, echoing netherworld, where each heartbeat throbbed with the weight of destiny, The demons faced a daunting decision. Before them shimmered a secret portal, a promise of deliverance reminiscent of Isaiah 1:18. Though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. But to pass through required absolute repentance, a surrender so complete that it would obliterate the pride and hatred that had fueled their fall. Could centuries of sin be washed away in one redemptive instant, as 1 John 1:9 assures us, if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins? Or was this offer of mercy merely a cruel illusion, destined to vanish into eternal regret? As thunderous echoes of judgment mingled with the muted cries for hope, the fate of the fallen teetered on a razor's edge. Somewhere in the balance between salvation and eternal night, the universal scales, reminding us of Proverbs 21:15, when justice is done, it brings joy to the righteous but terror to evildoers, weighted to tip either toward a flicker of unthinkable grace or to seal the final doom for those entrenched in rebellion. Unraveling the threads of fate. Just when it seemed like the divine ruling was written in stone, a mind-bending twist materialized, something so disruptive it could shake our notions of eternal fate at their foundation. But what hidden truth lurks in this cosmic paradox, and can it really upend destiny itself? As the echoes of heavenly judgment slowly receded into the infinite hush, a subtle yet profound shift unfolded in the darkness. The massive chains and smothering gloom were suddenly pierced by gleaming ripples, an elegant dance of light and shadow that slipped right through the supposedly ironclad judgment of cosmic law. These fleeting flashes, flirting with the edges of fate, support what Dr. Samuel Eddington proposed in Celestial Paradoxes, the hidden dynamics of divine judgment, that such luminescent signals aren't random anomalies, but evidence of a more complex cosmic order than we traditionally imagine. Wherever these shafts of light met, they exposed centuries-old symbols and runes carved into the walls of the abyss, a tangible nod to the era when divine punishment and grace were suspended in a precarious balance. Professor Lisa Caldwell, in her influential book, Fate's Weave, Unraveling the Divine Tapestry, posits that these markings don't just belong to the past. Rather, they represent active threads of redemption woven into the otherwise grim fabric of eternal law, proving that even the most severe penalties may allow for a spark of transformation. This interplay between the immovable laws of the heavenly realm and the radiant anomaly underscores a profound paradox, a hidden, more flexible dimension of divine judgment that challenges the finality we've come to expect. Scholars such as Dr. Eddington and Professor Caldwell argue that these so-called cosmic glitches could be intentional features of the divine plan, moments where the apparently sealed destiny of transgressors intersects with the possibility of salvation. They suggest that this fleeting window, seen only momentarily, might be the blueprint for a cosmic redo, a chance for the divine ledger to be altered, however slightly. Naturally, this contradiction raises a central question. Is the cosmic decree truly as rigid as it seems, or does this radiant phenomenon hint at a built-in flexibility in the divine system? The idea that even the strictest sentence might harbor a glimmer of hope defies centuries of conventional dogma and calls for a radical rethinking of fate's unchanging march. As the glowing rift flared and then merged back into the vast darkness, it left behind a haunting reminder that the celestial tapestry could, in fact, be more open-ended than we'd ever dared to believe. In this ongoing tug-of-war between a seemingly fixed decree and a flicker of cosmic leniency, we're left to wonder, was this luminous portal merely a short-lived mirage, or does it point to a deeper, concealed realm of mercy operating beneath the weight of justice? According to leading scholars, the real answer lies encoded in the universe itself. waiting for any courageous spirit willing to push past the obvious and pry open its mysteries, encountering the divine glory. But just as destiny's shadows seemed set in stone, a startling turn of events arrived, a face-off that would challenge not only the fallen's rebellion, but also the very heart of divine mercy. In that moment of almost unbearable tension, the fallen demons found themselves dragged before the immortal court. The gates of heaven groaned open to reveal a majestic throne glowing brighter than any star. Terror mixed with a desperate glimmer of hope as each demon felt the crushing weight of their countless transgressions. It was as if the entire cosmos paused, holding its breath for this ultimate reckoning. Out of that radiant throne stepped a luminous figure surrounded by a fiery halo of starlight. Its gaze was gentle yet unwavering, a seeming contradiction that pierced the demons' hardened shells. The figure's voice resounded through the vast chamber, echoing with the gravity of ancient prophecies and age-old scrolls. It felt as though centuries of sacred writings, from the Book of Enoch to long-forgotten oracles, had all led up to this singular moment.
"Behold,"
the voice intoned, measured and suffused with cosmic force,
"the tapestry of your deeds, woven in defiance and despair, now stands against you. Your revolt against the sacred order has neither gone unseen nor been excused."
Each syllable carried the weight of eons, and with every word, the throne's radiance seemed to pulse as though creation's own heartbeat boomed in reply. The demons, who once wore their rebellion like a badge of honor, now shook with a numbing chill at the reminder of the universe's unforgiving laws. Each link in their chains, forged by divine wrath, seemed to tighten more with every echo of the pronouncement. Standing guard in gleaming armor reminiscent of a star-filled sky, the heavenly sentinels bore silent witness to this dramatic trial. One couldn't help but think of legendary punishments like Prometheus or Sisyphus, whose pride doomed them to endless torment. Yet as the blazing figure decreed the unalterable consequence of their sins, something quietly stirred beneath the surface. A faint ripple ran through the cosmic currents, hinting that redemption, however impossible, might still be hiding somewhere in this harsh reality. It was uncertain whether this flicker was a genuine spark of mercy or a final cruelty designed to deepen their torment. But the ancient sadness in the messenger's eyes suggested a riddle that no one had yet solved. When the divine voice paused, a shared vision cut through the chamber, an echo of a far distant past, when the line between justice and mercy wasn't so sharply drawn. In that primordial age, even the mightiest offenders could sometimes find forgiveness, if only they could muster genuine repentance. These fleeting images brought to mind the grand legends of heaven's earliest days, urging the question of whether change was still possible now. The tension was palpable as the radiant being lifted a glowing hand toward the assembly. With that single motion, a flood of insight crashed over the gathered demons, an onrush of divine knowledge so overwhelming it sparked awe and dread in equal measure. The brilliance of that instant illuminated both the awe-inspiring beauty of creation and the cold finality of the law. Each pounding heartbeat felt like a countdown to a judgment etched into the universe's most ancient code. Amid that swirl of light and darkness, as boundaries blurred between salvation and damnation, another faint but undeniable shift flickered across the horizon. Almost too subtle to notice, a tremor passed through existence itself, hinting that even here, at the brink of irreversible fate, a small hidden clause might be tucked away in the grand design. This tiny, almost unnoticeable ripple suggested that the unchangeable rules of cosmic justice might not be so final after all, leaving the door cracked open for a last astonishing twist no one had dared to predict. Unpicking the strings of destiny. Just when it seemed that the final divine pronouncement was set in stone, an unexpected nuance emerged, a cosmic perturbation that might just rewrite the very fabric of eternal judgment. As Dr. Samuel Eddington argues in Celestial Paradoxes, the hidden dynamics of divine judgment, even the most unyielding decrees can harbor hidden possibilities for transformation. In that charged moment, as the divine presence faded into a lingering echo and the heavenly throne settled into its role as eternal judge, a hint of mystery began to surface. The atmosphere, heavy with the scent of divine retribution, pulsed with an almost imperceptible tension, a subtle quiver, as Professor Lisa Caldwell describes in Fate's Weave, unraveling the divine tapestry, suggesting that even amid absolute condemnation, there might exist a secret note of mercy hidden in the margins of fate. The assembled demons, bound by chains forged from divine wrath, found themselves caught in a delicate dance between light and darkness. Their chains, symbols of inescapable judgment, started to shimmer with an unfamiliar iridescence, defying the rigidity of their prescribed fate. It was as if the very abyss had been altered, and fragments of forgotten wisdom began to emerge. Dr. Jonathan Mercer, in his work The Tapestry of Destiny, Threads of Redemption and Judgment, contends that these subtle shifts reveal a balance far more nuanced than a simple binary of sin versus redemption. In a sudden lapse in the pattern, brilliant shards of cosmic light swept across the darkened dome of the abyss, igniting ancient runes etched into its walls. These inscriptions spoke of a time when judgment and mercy were not polar opposites, but two interwoven aspects of the divine order. Professor Elaine Rutherford explores this very idea in her book Inscriptions of the Infinite, Secrets of the Celestial Realm, where she posits that these symbols hint at a hidden promise of change, even within the strictest decrees. This revelation sparked murmurs of incredulity among the condemned as echoes of ancient prophecies resurfaced, prophecies that hinted at a divine paradox, that even in absolute judgment, the seed of redemption might be sown. Could it be that the Almighty, in his omniscience, had woven into his decree a slender strand of hope, a contradictory kindness that would allow the reweaving of destiny? The notion is as perplexing as it is captivating, challenging the conventional framework of punishment and pardon. Then, as these radiant shards converged, they formed a temporary portal, a shimmering boundary leading into realms untouched by mortal or divine fiat. This unexpected gateway, reminiscent of the miraculous passages described by our scholars, evoked both awe and terror among the assembled spirits. It was as if the cosmos itself had decided to defy the immutability of its own edicts, inviting even the damned to challenge the finality of their fate. At that frozen moment, when light and shadow merged and time seemed to stand still, a profound question echoed through every soul present. Was this cosmic shift a genuine chance to rewrite an eternal verdict, or merely a fleeting illusion, a final cruel reminder that the sentence had already been irrevocably passed? As these eminent scholars suggest, the answer lies hidden within the vast tapestry of the universe, a secret awaiting revelation in the next chapter of this endless saga. A new dawn or final damnation? Just when it looked like the cosmic scale had slammed shut with an unchangeable verdict, a final twist burst onto the scene, one so profound it could shatter everything we think we know about fate and forgiveness. In the quiet, almost breathless moment that followed, as the last faint sparks of possibility gave way to the vastness of the void, the final judgment was pronounced. This decree, etched into the very core of existence, stated that no rebel spirit could dodge the relentless rule of divine justice. The fallen, branded by burning chains and haunted by the ashes of abandoned hope, bore unerasable marks of their disobedience. Whatever slim chance for redemption they'd once held now seemed buried under the uncompromising laws of punishment. But as the shockwaves of this sentence rippled through the celestial court, a brief and nearly invisible glint of light flickered above the divide. In that split second, the universe itself hinted at a contradiction. Even confronted with final condemnation, there might still be a hidden balance between punishment and compassion. Across centuries, ancient prophecies have whispered of such mysteries, a cosmic tension that unites vengeance and rebirth. Could it be that somewhere under the ironclad system of retribution, a faint glimmer of hope for change still existed? Slowly, the heavenly court, its star-bright warriors and the overwhelming presence of the divine, slipped back into the corridors of eternity. All that lingered was the stark reality that defying heaven carried consequences no amount of pleading could undo. This wasn't just a condemnation, it was a testament to the fact that every act of rebellion, every cry for mercy, gets weighed on the scales of infinite justice. In that deep silence, the fallen were left to stare down their fate. The proud voices that once rang with unchecked arrogance were now muted, choked by regret. The gleaming chains around them felt heavier than ever, a radiant reminder of a rebellion that carved their destiny in stone. Yet that faint, ghostly shimmer from moments before still hovered, an elusive echo of what could have been, a subtle sign that even now, total hopelessness might not be the final word. And so the cosmic paradox dissolved into timeless quiet, leaving one colossal question echoing in the emptiness. In an endless universe ruled by unchanging law, can the most broken of hearts ever escape their history, or are they doomed to eternal condemnation? An enigma as sprawling as the galaxies themselves, it not only torments these fallen souls, but challenges anyone bold enough to confront the nature of sin, justice, and grace. Discover the verse that demons don't want you to know. In this next video, we'll explore a hidden passage so powerful and so veiled that darkness has struggled for centuries to keep it under wraps. This ancient secret could forever reshape how you see the showdown between divine law and unbridled defiance. Click now to keep uncovering the universe's most guarded truths. And as always, thank you for watching. May the light of truth guide you through every shadow.